Those who've been following my channel for quite some time will remember two particular videos that I made going over why Kindred Fates and Monster Sanctuary are not Pokemon clones or ripoffs or what have you. Though I believe that these videos did a decent job articulating why exactly these particular games aren't ripoffs, breaking down their features and comparing and contrasting them to that of the Pokemon franchise, I do believe that one thing I fail to expand upon is what exactly is fueling this constant misinformation and sometimes even animosity towards games that dare feature monster catching and battling mechanics, sometimes even in cases where the games came out before Pokemon. Anyways, this video is definitely going to be a more passionate, maybe more of a rant styled video, but I think it is an important one to make as this genre continues to grow and I refuse to let its reputation get tarnished through ignorance. Anyways, let's dive right in. Okay, so I don't want to attack any individuals directly. That's not my style, and that's never been how I've done things on this channel. I will, however, say that I do think there are two major issues with the Pokemon clone narrative that consists of the media, whether it be various journalists or other content creators, and diehard Pokemon fans who see anything that is perceived as a challenge to the Pokemon franchise as a threat, whether or not it even is a threat. Now, I'm not saying that it's diehard Pokemon fans specifically, as many of us monster taming fans are indeed diehard Pokemon fans, but rather a subsect of diehard Pokemon fans that gets extremely defensive whenever Pokemon is criticized or anything stands to challenge it. So definitely make sure to keep that differentiation in mind. If you're a diehard Pokemon fan, I'm not saying this is you. I'm saying that there are people whom are diehard Pokemon fans, so they happen to be diehard Pokemon fans, and that kind of is what fuels their animosity. Not necessarily that it's because they're Pokemon fans, but there's definitely something else going on there. So we're going to start with the media portrayal of monster taming games, and I'm mostly going to lean towards content creators now because that's where I have the most experience. And there's this constant trope of the term Pokemon clone in all these different videos that these creators make, and this is likely a tactic to gain views. Now, this in and of itself is not a bad thing. Using the word Pokemon to describe games that are inspired by or similar to Pokemon is totally fine when trying to appeal to the Pokemon audience and expand their knowledge on said games. The issue here, however, is instead of using a term like Pokemon-like or Pokemon-inspired, it's consistently Pokemon clone or Pokemon ripoff, which in and of itself is a derogatory term. To say something is a clone of something else is essentially to say it's a copy or a ripoff or an imitation. And oftentimes the games that these content creators actually cover in these types of videos are either not like Pokemon at all, with a few exceptions, or even came out before Pokemon in some cases. I'm not going to name any names. I really don't want to make this, oh, Gym Leader Ed called out this person or that person or whatever. But I've seen videos calling Kindred Fates a Pokemon clone because it features monsters that can battle one another. I've seen a video calling Dragon Warrior Monsters a Pokemon clone, which was inspired by the monster taming mechanic in its own Dragon Quest series, which actually in turn inspired Satoshi Tajiri's Pokemon Red and Green. And I've seen videos calling Shin Megami Tensei a Pokemon clone, for God's sake. Like, there's a big difference between making a mistake or having an inaccuracy and blatantly putting out something without doing any sort of research. If you're going to make the claim that a game is a clone of something else, then you better have damn well done your research, because people like me are going to call you out on your bullshit. Titles like Top 10 Pokemon Clone, a new Pokemon clone is here, the next Pokemon, Pokemon 2.0, this game will kill Pokemon, etc. are all used because they're catchy titles and they're definitely easier to click on. When I create these sort of list videos like these are 10 monster taming games for the Nintendo Switch, I oftentimes put Pokemon-like games at the end in the title so that people who don't know what monster taming means will at least know that these are games that are in the same ballpark as Pokemon. And I believe that's totally fine. To deny that these games are in some way related to or part of the same genre as Pokemon is just to deny fact. Pokemon has had a grip on the monster taming genre for 2 decades, and there's nothing wrong with stating clearly that yes, these games are inspired by or have similar mechanics to Pokemon, but calling them a clone or a ripoff is a whole different story. I think as a community, if we denied the terms Pokemon-like and Pokemon-inspired, that would actually do more detriment to the genre as a whole, as it would make it seem like we were trying to hide the fact that these games were in fact like Pokemon or inspired by Pokemon. And that would in turn fuel the Pokemon clone terminology. In some ways, the human mind can be very lazy in that we try to latch on to terms that are easy to remember, and unfortunately the wider community has adopted the term Pokemon clone even when these games may not be anything like Pokemon. I mean, look at games like Cirilla, Monster Sanctuary, and Malice and Greed. These games aren't even inspired by Pokemon, they're inspired by other franchises. As an individual with a platform, my goal is to spread awareness that games like Pokemon can exist within the monster taming genre and not be ripoffs. Imagine if we use this same logic to call Pokemon a ripoff. I mean, Pokemon has turn-based battling, so clearly it's a Final Fantasy ripoff. It has monsters in it, so it's a Doom ripoff, because Doom has monsters. And you know what? It's a Digimon ripoff as well. What? Digimon came out after Pokemon? Well, like I've stated, apparently that doesn't matter because people called Shin Megami Tensei a damn Pokemon clone. I've also seen articles talking about Pokemon clones and, you know, games that will surpass Pokemon, and honestly, that's another issue in and of itself. This idea that any of these indie games are gonna kill or defeat Pokemon in any sort of way sets these games up for failure. I remember when Temtem released, everyone was saying, well, Pokemon is better because Temtem only has such and such monsters, this and that and the other thing. When it's absolutely ridiculous to even try to compare the amount of resources that a company like the Pokemon Company would have versus an indie studio. You can definitely say what you want in terms of what you like or dislike about each, but to call them essentially shit because it doesn't have something that is heavily intertwined with resources within the game is extraordinarily disingenuous. A lot of people said that Temtem marketed itself as a Pokemon killer, but I have not seen the developers once state that they're going to kill Pokemon. Instead, I've seen other YouTubers say that it's a Pokemon killer or it's the next Pokemon. So you guys have to keep that in mind. There's a difference between what the devs have said and what people covering their games have said. At the end of the day, when it comes to content creation, I understand these guys are just trying to get people to click on their videos. Just like there's nothing wrong with a game developer wanting to sell their product to people, there's nothing wrong with content creators wanting to have people watch their content. However, there is an issue when you're marketing yourself in a way that is either deceptive or deceitful, or lacks any sort of research and presenting that as fact. Right now, monster taming games, despite our boom, is a niche community, and it's not really profitable for the larger content creators to make monster taming content outside of Pokemon, with the exception of once in a blue moon. That said, if monster taming does become very mainstream, watch how quickly some of these Poketubers stop calling these games Pokemon clones and try to make videos like this one explaining why they're not. It'll be really funny to see them make a complete 180, and I'll be surprised if any of them show any self-awareness for it. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Maybe the guy who said that Shin Megami Tensei is a Pokemon clone got bad information, or they didn't feel like doing any research. And same goes for the others. Not really a good excuse to throw an entire genre under the bus, but I mean, maybe they were just lazy. I do challenge anyone that is a larger content creator to educate yourself on what monster taming is and why it does differentiate itself from Pokemon, because making those types of videos or publishing these types of articles is really damaging to a genre filled with mostly indie devs who are trying to push out their dream game. And if nobody wants to research and take in the evidence that most monster taming games are not like Pokemon, then instead we could just do the same thing with you guys. We could just call all Poketubers Munching Orange or Jay Witz clones. Okay, so next we got to talk about the diehard fans. Now again, like I stated at the beginning of this video, I'm not talking about all diehard fans. I'm more so talking about a certain sect of the diehard fans whom are basically like, I don't know, the jealous boyfriend or girlfriend who, if you even look at your cat, you're done. How dare you? What I mean is a lot of these people who call these games Pokemon ripoffs or Pokemon clones, upon further investigation and dissection of their claims, you oftentimes find that they've never actually played these games that they're bashing, and just have this like deep-seated anger towards them. I can't count how many times I've gotten into it with people on Twitter or Reddit or even in my own comments, and will either not reply once pushed on a point, will delete their own comments, or will simply just result to ad hominem attacks. I think a lot of this has to do with the Dexit situation, since a lot of people who have had issues with the recent Pokemon titles either converted to or are supplementing their Pokemon with monster taming games because of what many are calling the downfall of the Pokemon franchise from a quality perspective, obviously not a financial one. When it comes to the whole bring back the national deck situation, there were a lot of people on both sides who were acting ridiculous, and a common trend is that each side likes to call the other worse because of the actions of a few. I've already done a whole video talking about this, but essentially the national deck side says that Game Freak is ruining the games, and on the other side you have people calling the national decks people crybabies and toxic. You obviously have people that are extreme, which exist on both sides, and you got your typical death threats, blah blah blah. But as usual, the simple-minded will immediately rush to those as an example of why the opinions of the other people they disagree with are invalid. It's really easy to dismiss the opinions of someone if you can find a crazy person that agrees with them to an extent. Honestly, I can make an entire video series about how terrible debate has become, but that's neither here nor now because this is a rant video. The main takeaway is if your opinion has nothing to do with death threats and some random person who agrees with you on something sends death threats, that doesn't mean your opinion's invalid. Anyways, the heavy animosity towards games that are perceived to be a threat to Pokemon definitely plays a role regardless of whether or not it's true. I've seen Facebook ads for various monster taming games. A couple that come to mind are Sky Climbers and Anatons. And without a doubt, I'll see comments saying that, oh, you're just making Pokemon, or why play this when I could play Pokemon, etc. These types of comments, whilst not directly saying the phrase Pokemon clone or ripoff, they're insinuating that the games are so similar to Pokemon, why bother playing it? I think a big part in quashing this baseless animosity will be educating people on the fact that the monster taming genre is not inherently anti-Pokemon, despite the fact that a lot of people who dislike Pokemon for the direction it's going gravitate here. I mean, if you're a fan of any game and start to dislike the direction of the franchise, of course you're going to go to similar products that encapsulate what made you enjoy the originals. But like I said, just because that's the case, that does not mean the genre in and of itself is anti-Pokemon by any means. A lot of these games were inspired by the developers' love for the Pokemon franchise and wanting to make their own twist to it. You can enjoy Pokemon and still enjoy monster taming games. You could dislike Pokemon and enjoy monster taming games. It doesn't really matter because it's its own genre. Trying to put down an entire genre because you're insecure of the games in which you enjoy is petty and honestly says a lot about what you're trying to defend. At the end of the day, the monster taming genre will take a long time before it's legitimized. The problem is that Pokemon has had 20 years to essentially cement itself as the definitive monster taming game, whilst all others are just considered imitations. This wasn't Pokemon's intention by any means, but it's definitely the result of something being so successful and being mostly uncontested. So all we can do as monster taming fans is spread the word that these other games do exist and are not Pokemon clones. This is literally a major focus on my channel, and as someone who covers all of these games, I definitely see a lot of accusations of Pokemon clones flying around from outsiders looking in. You don't have to like these games, but you definitely should respect them for what they are and not diminish them. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say for now. If anything else comes to mind, maybe I'll make a part 2 to this, but we'll see anyway. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this whole situation. Do you think we'll ever see a day where these games aren't just called Pokemon ripoffs or clones, or do you think it's just going to continue until the end of time because Pokemon is forever successful? What sort of measures do you think we could take as fans of the monster taming genre to not distance ourselves from Pokemon, but instead embrace the inspiration for a lot of these games while maintaining that there are differences and these differences are substantial and the Pokemon clone dichotomy is harmful in nature? Anyways, let me know in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, definitely make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at GymLeaderEd and check out my Discord. All links will be in the description. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.